Chapter 43, Charlie. I studied the outline left by the styled A that to grace the marble exterior of the Augusta Investment Building on Madison Avenue. 18 months ago, I thought that this place would be the center of my world. Standing on the sidewalk after my emotional roller coaster of a day, I could see how cold and empty that existence would have been. Countless hours spent worshiping at the altar of the almighty dollar. Superficial friendships based on social capital and influence, and probably a loveless marriage born of paternal and social pressure. Now, just the thought made me shudder. I lied to my father early about one thing. He hadn't ruined my life, he saved it. His action had forced me out of my comfort zone and taught me to live. I deeply regretted the hardships his victims had faced, but his insatiable greed had flung open my cage door. When I left New York, I might have been trying to get lost, but I found myself instead. My eyes pricked with sneaky tears at the thought of my life in New Orleans. Part of me wished I could return and have everything be the same as it had been before I left, but then I'd still be living a lie. How could I go back now? The city I'd fallen in love with would never be the same for me again. Charlotte Augusta wouldn't be allowed to have the simple life of Charlie Stone. Charlotte, sweetheart, is that you? The familiar voice chased away my warring thoughts. I turned away from the building, away from my past and the future I'd escaped. Juanita's dark hair was threaded with more silver than it had been the day I left New York. But to me, she never looked better. She looked happy. Tears tracked down my cheek as she pulled me into her arm. God, I missed you, girl. She squeezed me tighter before stepping back to examine me. Look at you. Unlike my mother's inspection, Juanita's didn't have me ready to haul out my armor. You look beautiful, like you're finally comfortable in your own skin. As always, she was perceptive as hell. I missed you. I'm so sorry I didn't keep in touch. I was afraid that if you knew where I was, don't even try to apologize. As far as I was concerned, no news was good news. Now let's get off the street and get a cup of coffee. I want to hear everything that happened since you walked out of my kitchen. Juanita looped her arm through mine and pulled me across the street to the cafe where we had agreed to meet. A thought occurred to me. How did you know where I was just now? I should have been waiting in the cafe, but I've been unwillingly drawn to the symbol of my past rising high in the Manhattan skyline. You stand out like a sore thumb in this part of town, Charlotte. I saw the rubberneckers from across the street. Wasn't hard to figure out. Fair enough. We settled into a back booth with steaming mugs in front of us, and Juanita wasted no time getting down to business. Tell me everything. But first, tell me about this southern gentleman you were photographed with when everything hit the papers. I squeezed my eyes shut for a beat as guilt battered me. Those pictures had probably killed any possibility of Simon having a future in politics. But there was a chance that if I stayed away and he decided to run after his mother was well again, the buzz around him would die down and he'd eventually have a fighting chance of being elected. But if I went back, well, suffice it to say that between my name and my colorful appearance, Simon's political career would stay dead. Charlotte? I looked up, realizing that Juanita had been waiting for me to answer her question. I tried levity to deflect. Geez, why can't you start with something easier, like why the heck I decided to cover my perfect good arm with tattoos? My attempt at deflection failed. Juanita just raised a brow. So, he was someone important. Duchessness, was it? I didn't like that she was speaking in the past tense. His name is Simon, Duchessness. She eyed me shrewdly. And he was important. I swallowed. He is important. And you love him? That one wasn't a question, but I answered it anyway. Yes. So now what? I don't know. I stared down at the steam rising off my mug. I gave myself permission to be honest. I want to go back, but if I were a better person, I wouldn't even consider it. I should run as far and as fast as I can in the opposite direction. And I hate myself for not being strong enough to do it. That's just one more reason he deserves better. So, you've decided to be your own judge, jury, and executioner. I didn't realize you become a martyr. A martyr. I bristled. How is that being a martyr? Aren't you supposed to put the people you love before yourself? She ignored my question and countered with another of her own. What would your Simon have to say if he were here listening to this? I pictured Simon's strong features, flashing hazel eyes, and tousled dark hair. What would he say? I thought of the plane ticket. That was as clear of a message as he could send. Probably something along the lines of, get the hell home where you belong. Then there's your answer. It's not that simple. Yes, it is, girl. He's telling you he wants you. Why does it have to be complicated? Because he's better off without me, even if he doesn't want to admit it. Juanita covered my fidgeting hand with hers. And you? Are you better off without him? Isn't that the real question you should be trying to answer? I'm not worried about me. Why not? Don't you deserve the same consideration? Her tone was no nonsense. You have to stop treating yourself as somehow being less because of what your father did. Thank you, somebody told her. I've told you before, but clearly it didn't make an impression. Your father's actions are not a reflection of your character, Charlotte. You need to quit thinking they are, or you're going to spend the rest of your life running from something you could never escape. But nothing. Simon's a grown man. You should let him make his own decisions. If you love him, then he deserves that much. Anything else is a disservice to both of you. Her dark eyes pinned me. You're not a stupid girl, Charlotte, so stop acting like you are. Somebody told her. What other plans do you have? Keep running? I like it, Juanita. That's right. I bowed my head, letting my hair fall into place. I'm still figuring that out. My advice would be not to take too long to decide. Life only gives us so many chances at happiness. You'll be well not to waste this one. Yeah, Juanita. And you better listen, Charlie. Chapter 44, Simon. I watched the same two pieces of unclaimed luggage go around and around the baggage carousel. One was a hard case of golf clubs, and the other was a tapestry pattern bag that looked like something a grandmother would carry. My suspicion was confirmed when the airport employee loaded the flower-covered bag on a cart pushed by an older woman in tan orthopedic shoes. A man on a cell phone hauled the golf clubs away. My hopes were sinking, but I refused to give up on her. She traveled light. No luggage didn't mean no Charlie. But from my bench, I had a perfect view of all the arriving travelers. She hadn't been among them. The gate agent had been able to confirm that the flight out of New York had been delayed, but the passengers aboard probably had enough time to make the New Orleans connections. Even at my most charming, the woman had refused to tell me one way or another whether Charlie had boarded either flight. Her murmured apologies about policies and data privacy didn't calm the knots in my stomach. My call to Ivers didn't give me anything either. He had no idea what Charlie had done after he left her at the U.S. Attorney's Office. When I booked the flight, I once again debated whether to include a message for Ivers to pass along. But something had held me back. The conversation Charlie and I needed to have couldn't take place through an intermediary. I was banking on the fact that the plane ticket would speak for itself. How much clearer could I make it? Could I make it that I wanted her to come home? That I didn't care who she was? But I did care that she hadn't trusted me. I hated knowing that she made a conscious decision to withhold the truth, even though I made it pretty damn clear that it didn't matter what she was hiding. Well, as long as it wasn't three husbands and a string of serial murders. I tried to put myself in her position, but even then, it sucked to know she hadn't felt like she could trust me. So I sat on the bench and waited, and waited, and waited. When I finally rose, feeling like the metal slats had imprinted themselves on my ass, I had to face facts. I've been waiting for a lot longer than 4 hours. I've been waiting for months, even before she ran. All I wanted from her was a sign that she was in this with me, a sign that we had a chance at something real together, and I got nothing. I waited for nothing. I left the airport wondering how much longer I could wait for this woman. Ooh, he said this woman. Uh-oh. Derek met me at the bar. I take it she wasn't on the plane. No, my tone was clipped. I really didn't want to talk about her. I wanted to get drunk. Makers neat, I told the bartender. Yes, sir. So what are you going to do? You're going up there? I turned to Derek. Can we just drink? Come on, man, you gotta have a plan. I know you. You always have a plan. He was right. He was right, except for the first time in my life, I didn't. Charlie has a habit of blowing all of my fucking plans to pieces. The bartender set the bourbon in front of me and I picked it up and took a healthy swing. You want to know what my plan was for today? I was going to pick her up at the airport and it was going to be romantic as hell. Instead, I watched luggage go around and around the baggage claim for 4 fucking hours and she never came. Killed my sense of romance. I tipped back the rest of my drink and smacked the glass down on the bar. So now, I just want to get drunk enough so I can stop thinking about everything for a few hours. How's that sound? Derek studied me with all too knowing eyes. How long are you going to chase this girl before you finally give up on her? The thing that sucked about having a best friend who known you since childhood was that he wasn't afraid to ask a question you weren't ready to answer. I wasn't ready to give up on Charlie yet, but I was nearing the edge of my fortitude. I gestured to the bartender to pour me another. Derek stayed silent, clearly waiting for a response. Refilled drink in hand, I turned back to him. What? How the fuck do you expect me to answer that? He shrugged and sipped his drink. With the truth, I guess. The truth is, I don't know. If you were in my shoes, would you have stopped chasing Mandy? He swirled the liquor in his glass. No, but still, there comes a point when she's got to push all her chips into the middle too. You both got to be all in. You think I don't know that? My frustration ratcheted up a few more notches. I don't know what to say, man. I guess if I were you, I'd give it a few more days and then I'd start asking myself some tough questions. Because with her history of running, you might have to face the possibilities that she might never be coming back. I downed the rest of my bourbon. I waved the bartender over. Can you just leave us the bottle? Derek looked sideways at me. Getting hammered ain't exactly going to help. I sloshed liquor into my glass. Sure ain't gonna hurt. Okay, that's the end of chapter 44. Okay, Charlie. You really didn't come back? You really didn't come back? You're not still in New York, are you? Oh, okay. Well, we have 2 chapters left and then the prologue. Charlie better be in New Orleans. I I think it's the Charlie way of not doing exactly what he want her to do. And I think that she didn't use his ticket, and I think she purchased her own ticket, and she's in New Orleans, and she's probably at his place, waiting for him. Let's see if Charlie, look, I don't even know what to call her no more. If Charlotte is going to take the initiative and do the right thing, not right thing, but show him that she want him to. Okay, y'all. Okay. See you in chapter 45. Bye.